What you have written here is the Christian martyrs, and they were made fukushas. Fukushas mean they were made blesseds, not saints yet, but made blesseds. And this is to remember. This park was set up to recall to this in memory of the fact that the martyrs, 11 martyrs of Yatsushiro, this particular town, were made blesseds. But in fact, at that time, there were 187 martyrs of Japan that were made blessed at that time, and the 11 of them happened to be from Yatsushiro. And it was shortly after that the bishop of the diocese, he wanted to have he thought it would be a good idea to have some kind of a park here to commemorate these martyrs. So 2 years later, in fact, the bishop bought this property here. It used to be tennis courts. And so anyway, he bought it, and it was rough and ready, and there were nice sakura trees, which are the cherry blossoms at the very end, but there were tennis courts here on the near side. But then there was, in the middle of it, then there was a little sort of remembrance thing, a white cross set up, but it really is kind of pathetic. But it couldn't be otherwise because there was no money to fund it. So some while later, anyway, the Columbans were celebrating their 100th anniversary, and it was they very generously made a decision that we would help in the funding to fund the development of this park, to make it something worthwhile, and that you wouldn't be ashamed of when talking about the Christian park, you know. So what you have here is the history of the area, what's the whole background of what happened. But anyway, we'll move on around the park here, because there were 11 martyrs, and so if you look around the park here, you'll see 11 cherry blossom trees. And the cherry blossoms are to commemorate, each is for one of the martyrs. And so beside each tree, you have this white pole here with the name of one particular martyr. So the stones you have over here, these were stones that were around the high wall of the church, which is about half a mile away from here. And we knocked half the wall away to lower the thing so that the place brighten up the whole church. And so we used the stones here to make seats here. So that stones that were used to build walls between people are now used here to have people sit and relax and come together, which is nice, you know. We have the same thing over the church. But when we move around here, this is just the more of this man was called Petro. His name was Peter. Hattori was his name, Peter. So, but we have Mass here every 3 years. There's a big festival here for the martyrs. Bishop comes and all the priests of the area gather, and the Shinjas, and we have tents and everything here. It's a wonderful day, remembering the martyrs, you know. So when we were setting this place up, as I said before, there was no funds whatsoever to do it, but the Columbans provided the funds to do it. And of course, where did the Columbans get the money? That all comes from the people that support us all over the world. And that's where that money came from, to develop this lovely park. So when it has been designed, actually, we asked a lot of the people around the place what would they like, because actually we wanted them to be able to use it as well. And we had a number of students as well who were studying at school how to develop parks and things like that. And we had all this input, and then this is what the final production was. So if we walk around this side here, you'll see that there are stones around the way. On the square stones, you have the Sermon on the Mount, and then on the round stones, you see the families, so that the people that were massacred, that were killed. They were kind of families. There were a number of families. So on each stone, you have this particular family. They were in this family, and then the next round. That's what's on the round stones. But there's a very nice thing over here that I'm very taken with. And before this cross here, there's a stone standing on its own. And two of the martyrs were samurai, and of course the pressure was on them to throw away their faith, and they refused to do that, and they refused to leave this town. They wouldn't do that. So the lord of the area, he left with the order that they had to be executed. But so the first man was executed, and he was brought into. He was a well-known man. They brought him up to come out the city to execute him because he was well-known. They're afraid if they executed him, there would be some kind of revolution or something. But then they saw the samurai. His mother, his friends, they tried to get him to persuade him to pretend you're throwing away the faith. You don't have to, but just pretend you're throwing it away. But he wouldn't do that. And then they got on to his mother. And because his mother and his child, they were going to be crucified that evening. So they got on to the mother then to tell your son, for heaven's sake, tell your son to not to go ahead with this thing. It's desperate. He'll be killed. And she had a very nice thing. And if you won't be here, just look at this stone. Very nice thing. I wanted to get these words on the stone. In fact, I wanted them to be in bigger print than they are at the moment. But this is what the mother said when they tried to get her to persuade her son to give up the faith. So he wouldn't be killed. She said, "It is a glorious thing to die for the faith." And then she said she was there. She witnessed his head. He was probably in his own house, near his own house where he was executed. And then she was there when he was executed. And then she said, "What a glorious thing you have done, my son, and what a wonderful thing, what an honour it is to be the mother of a martyr." And of course, she then was that evening. Then she was taken away and crucified herself. But they were wonderful, extraordinary people, ordinary people, and yet here they were, and with young in the faith, and here they were giving away offering their lives up. What a fantastic witness it was! But this particular area at that time, it was really a Catholic centre. There's a population of about 30,000. And then but most of the people, a lot of the people were Christians. But it shows you how far the faith was going in this time. They're only young in the faith. But actually Japan came very close to becoming a Christian country, because the evil spirit couldn't have that. And so the persecution started, and you have all these and many more, thousands of Japanese young in the faith, they gave up their lives for their faith. But what has to be said here, has to be acknowledged, is the generosity of the people who supported the Columbans, and this is why this park is here today. And it is a lovely place. It's quiet. People can come and they can sit over here in the shade and sit quietly and have quiet time. The children come, and it's a lovely place to come. I like to come here. A very interesting thing is that early on, when it was the diocese decided to buy this, and then there was all kinds of arguments, but who's going to look after it? And I happened to be on the Bishop's Council at that time, and I was in a parish up close to, away from here at that time, wasn't here at that time, this place. And I said, "Bishop, you have to buy this. You have to buy it. It's part of, not just for the diocese, it's the patrimony of the Church of Japan." And I said, "I'll go down and I'll cut the grass." And of course, isn't it funny enough, I ended up here as parish priest, and here I am cutting the grass, and I love it. Yeah.